Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports Worldwide on the iHeartRadio Network. And we want to thank you for your 250 million people platform, the iHeartRadio Network, one of the top networks in the world. And so, Big C, I thank you for being a part of the show. Today is August the 1st, 2016. We're getting ready for football season. And I also want to say thank you to all of you people from Latin America. Thank you so much for tweeting in to Charlton and Big C Sports. So bienvenidos. You know, we're also over in London, England, as well as Berlin, Germany, and the great country of Canada, as well as Australia. Even getting some tweets from Russia. And I know a lot of the people down in Russia, they have a hard time tweeting out because they're always being caught for doping or something like that. Big C, what's your thought on Russia tweeting out to Charlton and Big C Sports?
well, maybe it's Putin, Charlton. You know, he's the only one with a cell phone over there that can get around anywhere. So, you know, we appreciate all our listeners from around the world here in the U.S. and especially our female contingency that listens to us loyally Monday through Friday. Charlton, greatly appreciate the intelligence of the female listener out there in listening to Charlton and Big C Sports.
Well, I also appreciate that. And I also want to give a special thanks out to Phil Knight with Nike Corporation. Sent you the information your company asked for today. So hopefully we'll have you on as a sponsor this fall for the kickoff of football season. And like you always say, Phil, just do it. We know you're worth about $27 billion, so $1 million may not hurt him too much. Big C, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if anything will hurt Phil at all. Phil, you know, the toughest part of his day is trying to figure out which type of sneakers to put on. You know?
That's so funny.
Phil's got it going on. He's got the world at the tip of his fingers.
Yeah.
You know, he has the marketing down pat, you know, in professional sports. You know, this man has just become a genius. When you think about Phil Knight back in the mid-'70s, when he made the first pair of Nike shoes, the test model. He made the sole with a waffle iron, Charlton, and he was trying to pedal the shoes out of the back of his Volkswagen. And you think about entrepreneurship in America and where he it to, it is just unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. He's actually been someone, you know, America is about what we're doing on Charlton and Big C Sports. You have to create what you want, and you have to compete for what you want. So for what I love with Charlton and Big C Sports, I love talking to young people about being competitive. Go out and compete for something. We have the Olympics coming up. You have to compete. You know, we are looking for a shoe sponsor, and we're talking to Nike, also looking at Reebok and also Adidas. But, you know, either one, whatever one's going to come on and join the hottest sports show in the United States, that's Charlton and Big C Sports Worldwide. I even have some of the local NBA stations saying, welcome to the show, and they haven't said that in years, Big C. And I'm seeing guys on ESPN, so thank you guys, ESPN and Fox Sports, for listening to us. But also, Big C, you know, I'm really salivating right now because I was hearing some talk this morning on television about college football. And a lot of the prognosticators out there, they're starting to rate the top college football teams. And a lot of people like Clemson, even though Clemson hasn't won anything in years since they beat up on Nebraska back in the day. But they know they have a great quarterback and they have a strong offensive core coming back. Your thoughts on national championship contenders? I know Alabama's up there in the mix, as well as USC and Ohio State. But what are your thoughts on the SEC, Big C? I know you cover that conference very well.
Well, the SEC, you know, you always got Alabama coming back. They're always hit hard by graduation, Charlton, but they always have so many players stockpiled, you know, in the wings waiting. You know, they rotate a lot of players throughout the season, so graduation and even early departure from Alabama is one of those things that really doesn't hurt that university. And, you know, last year they played the national championship game against Clemson. Deshaun Watson, the quarterback.
Amazing.
Tremendous athlete. You know, one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in college football in the past decade. And bar none, you know, even the guys that are in the NFL, Deshaun Watson is the total package. He'll, by far and away, be the first quarterback drafted in the NFL draft coming up next spring. And you talked about Clemson hadn't won anything since they played Nebraska. They had Homer Jordan playing quarterback for them at that time, and they won a national championship. And if many people recall, you know, the Perry brothers are on that team, and they had a all-American wide receiver named Perry Tuttle, running back named Lester Brown. These players were impactful players, and, you know, most of them went on to the NFL and had some decent careers. But, you know, when you look at the landscape, Charlton, of college football, and people right now are talking about making 4 or 5 mega conferences with 16 teams in them.
Yeah.
Now, what will that do for college football, college sports in general, Charlton? That would be devastating.
Yeah.
Because regardless of how large those conferences get, Charlton, you still have to slice the pie.
Yep.
Okay? Now you got to add another 2 to 3 slices to a pie. That money's not going to get any further.
Well,
but what happens is now you have 16 teams in a conference. You're going to have the East and West, or the North and South, Charlton.
Yeah.
Who's going to play who, when, and how do you have a true conference champion?
Yeah.
If everybody doesn't play everybody, you may go 3, 4, 5 years without playing a team in your conference, Charlton.
Well, see, that's the amazing thing. I heard some people saying how if you look at the power conferences, and as you like to say, the heritage conferences, the ones that are out there, and of course, when you think West, you think USC, you think Oregon, you think Stanford, and even the University of Washington when they had Donnie James up there. Arizona State's also had great programs, and then UCLA is always pretty strong as well. But when you think the South, it's always the Alabamas, it's the Texas A&Ms, and the LSUs, Florida, Georgia. In fact, if you look at how many teams have won national championships, Big C, a lot of them are clustered around there where you cover football in the Southeastern Conference, because whether you have a major conference shift or not, where you have maybe 4 large conferences, it's still that region of the world where the athletes come from. They come from Florida, they come from California, they come from Texas, and maybe Ohio. But most people are not out running wind sprints in Ohio when it's 30 degrees, Big C. In California, it's usually always about 70, 75 degrees, and that's in the wintertime, Big C. So whether they have large conferences or not, I still think you have the regions of the world or the regions of the country that will always recruit that top talent. Your thoughts on that, Big C?
Well, when we look at talent, Charlton, and if you get teams hoarding like they did in the early 70s where, a team could dress 125, 150 players for a game.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of schools, kids ended up going to schools just because of the school's name. And that talent never got a chance to be showcased, Charlton, on Saturday afternoon because you had university stockpiling running backs 4, 5, 6 deep.
Yeah.
Only 1 or 2 maybe would play, and everybody else stuck on special teams, being redshirted.
Yeah.
And so when the NCAA limited scholarships several years ago, that was a benefit for college football as a whole. It allowed those smaller universities now, Charlton, to absorb some of those excess players.
Yeah.
And it made a better balance for college football. Because when you look at a fan watching college football, it doesn't make any difference who's playing on TV. Yes, the big guys get the big-time, prime-time games.
Yeah.
But a college football game, Charlton, is all about excitement. They say the players are out there for free. I question that sometimes.
Wait a minute.
But,
you say free. Tell Joey Bosa he's holding out from free pay to a contract, and it's not enough money for him, Big C. So I think you hit the nail on the head right there, Big C.
So, when you look at these players, Charlton, and the entertainment level that they represent.
Yeah.
And, you're saying that they can't, warrant being paid. The best performers out there that we have.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking at a movie, whether you're looking at the NFL, when you look at the excitement and electricity of a college football game, Charlton.
Oh, yeah.
And telling these players that they are of no value financially, that they can't be paid. I mean, it's one of the biggest lies ever been told.
Yeah. And Big C, I wouldn't mind. In fact, it might even be something that we see, and I'm going to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Escalade. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you, because it is the standard of the world. And also, Big C, just like driving the Cadillac Escalade, you want something that's reliable. You want something that's dependable. And when you talk about colleges, none of these colleges, as we all salivate over football, and I love it. It's kind of like a girlfriend that treats you bad. You love her, so you put up with it anyway. And that's what the athletes are doing with college football, because they either don't know any better, that it's an antitrust violation not to pay players, or they just don't understand that if they had the goal the wherewithal to not play, to go on strike, you can't replace them with other players. And you would talk about billions of dollars being lost on opening kickoff day of college football, if all of these top 20 teams or top 25 teams decided not to play because maybe an attorney got involved and said, slavery ended 1863, but they're still being treated that way, Big C, you get a t-shirt and a hat, but the schools, they make hundreds of millions of dollars. I think you said Ohio State, they're already ahead of the game, they're over $100 million before kickoff. Does that make sense, Big C?
Well, you get that in several universities: Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, LSU. These mega schools, Charlton, Texas A&M. When you sit up, and these schools are not 100,000, but $100 million in the black already.
Yeah.
Before they have a kickoff, before they even open up a parking lot.
Yeah.
They're well ahead, and now, Charlton, they have this television revenue money coming in once the season starts. It's going to be coming from the conference. This is all of what they've sold at the universities.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at, and we talked months ago, Charlton, about the historical black colleges.
Yeah.
There has to be a way for network television to pipe some money to these guys. Instead of just having this one game every year, the Bayou Classic with Southern and Grambling down in Louisiana. Yes, it's nice to have that one game during prime time of college football.
Yeah.
But the historical black colleges deserve a little more respect and treatment. They get treated like the players.
Yeah.
We're not giving you anything. We don't feel that you deserve a dime. Some of the greatest NFL players of all time, Charlton, has come out of these historical black colleges.
Yeah.
Record setters, Super Bowl winners.
Jerry Rice, Walter Payton.
Jerry Rice, Walter
Michael
Payton,
Strahan.
Doug Williams, Charlton.
Yeah.
Everson Walls, Michael Strahan, many, Willie Lanier. You can go up and down the ledger, Emmett Thomas, and you'll find decades of these players prior to the mid-'70s coming out of the historical black colleges.
Yeah.
But yet the NCAA has turned their back on them, Charlton. It's like everything else, when they talk about Black Lives Matter, and this is not in a crime or criminal way.
Right.
But Black Lives Matter in the black universities. We have to help them out financially, just like you pump this money into these major heritage conferences. The NCAA has to find a way to get a pipeline into these historical black colleges, Charlton.
Yeah, and I think even we talked about Phil Knight, and what I love about what Phil Knight has done is he took what he had as a dream, and now almost every college program and even professional program, they wear the Nike shoe, and a lot of kids want to know what kind of Nike shoe they can put on. And I also want to ask, Phil Knight, we're asking you for sponsorship, but I'm also asking you to have the Muhammad Ali social consciousness where you're not afraid to say we're going to start donating computers to inner city schools, because that will help bring our economy back. Where we take the average young kid, and predominantly most of them are African American when it comes to Division I basketball and football. Now think about what this does. Think about how Nike can do what UPS did when they gave $500 million to the Ali Center. And this is what would make Nike more important legacy-wise. When you take a young kid that comes out of an inner-city neighborhood and he goes to maybe Alabama or USC or Oklahoma or Texas, or no matter where they go, those parents that come out of those neighborhoods, they don't have to struggle as much to send food and other things that the kid needs while he's in college or while she's in college. And imagine a great corporation like Nike Corporation creating a sea change. If they can beat maybe Reebok, they can beat Adidas, they can beat Under Armour to the punch, because they're all going to start doing it. Most of those guys are intelligent, and they're going to realize you can only sell enough tennis shoes to people, but if they don't have jobs, if they don't have computer skills, how are they going to afford your tennis shoes? So now they prey on each other trying to get the programs. So again, we're about being socially conscious. And I also say Phil Knight too. I sent you one of our programs, and I love competition. And I simply ask you, look at Charlton and Big C Sports, how factual it is, how out of the box it is, outside of the box. We're not reading teleprompters. We don't have producers in our ears. We speak extemporaneously. And I know if you realize the vibration that we speak with, you realize that the Nike shoe coming into Nike's shoes, going into computers, that started with the Charlton and Big C Sports. I'm sure you're hearing your guys on ESPN and ABC and NBC and all the other sports companies out there. But think about your own kids. I'm sure they have the best computers that money can buy. What if these universities, Big C, could go into these inner city neighborhoods and say, not only are we going to give your kid an education, even though if you're like Kentucky, it may last 1 year, but we're going to donate a computer to your family. Because even if they can't give it to the schools, Big C, because there may be 1,000 kids in a school, each family that has a kid that's recruited, why couldn't Nike come in, or some university that's wearing Nike apparel, give a computer to that household, Big C? Is that too far-fetched? Because Muhammad Ali had that kind of thinking, Big C.
Well, what I'm still trying to figure out is how to spell that word you use, exponentially. I want to put that on my refrigerator, so I can, we don't use too many big words out here. We simple country folks, Charlton.
Well, you did.
And we practice simplicity, because that way we don't get mixed for words. But, when you think about expanding education, any way that you can expand that for the youth that are out there in these sports programs to help them out academically. I mean, we see so many kids now. And see, what hurt a lot of youth years ago, Charlton, was, and I'm not saying it's bad, when they said no kid left behind, that you could no longer hold kids back in school because you could have straight F, and you're passed on to the next grade. And I'm concerned about how beneficial that is for that young man or young woman, Charlton, because when you're looking there and you're not desired or forced to get an education, Charlton, and you're staying in school and you're staying with your class because you're a great athlete, the networks don't talk about this. They don't talk about how schools are just pushing kids through. So you can go from the second grade all the way through high school and never pass a class, Charlton, because no kid left behind program that many states have. And who does that benefit? It benefits the universities, Charlton, because you can fake a GPA. You can create numbers and say, hey, this kid's qualified. You put him in a summer school program, bringing him in, knowing that he's not academically eligible. But by the time he's gone through this summer school program and he's taken a larger academic load than he ever had in high school, all of a sudden he's eligible. Well, so we know that the universities are manipulating and exploiting kids. We just got to find ways to stop this.
Well, Big C, that is so true. And this segment is also sponsored by your California Lottery. What could a buck for you? What could a buck do for you, Big C? I remember I was telling you I was having this itch because I bought the winning ticket.
With a buck, I could probably get a pickle and some glazed potato chips. Okay?
Well, the Powerball, someone in New Hampshire won $478 million. Phil Knight probably has that in his wallet right now, but for the average person, that's a lot of money, Big C. I thought I hit that money, but in the meantime, I still want to say the iHeartRadio network, this is one of the best platforms for radio in the country, whether you're listening to Fox Sports or NFL football or any other major sports, NBA basketball or Major League Baseball. College football is so big. There's so many people salivating. And what I'm asking again, with Nike to sponsor Charlton and Big C Sports, because we are worldwide, you can buy shoes online. We have that opportunity. Whether you're in Russia, they need shoes, Big C. They need the kind you can put your needle in when you're done working out. Also, Big C, but they're going to deny everything, and that's okay. But think about it. I challenge anyone, and even Uncle Phil, we love the fact that you can contribute money and philanthropy, but I would like to ask every jock to stop being the dumb jock. Stop being someone who just reads the score. And Big C, you remind me so much of Jim Brown, because when I saw Harry Edwards and Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talking about Muhammad Ali and what he stood for when they had the Ali celebration, you opened my mind to so many things. When I was younger, I thought I just want to watch the game. And you make me realize who's getting the money for this game. And let's just be honest, might be a little painful, but the average African-American athlete, they're recruited for their prowess on the field, not for their brain challenging, being intelligent, being erudite, being well-read. And I would like to ask Phil Knight, as well as any other manufacturer, let's be the ones who take charge and realize what Lee Iacocca said, either lead, follow, or get out of the way. Let's be a leader in creating computers in every inner city school, whether you're black or white, doesn't matter whether you are, whether you're male or female. Can you imagine what that would do for the United States of America's economy if we taught kids how to trade as opposed to playing Madden 2000 or whatever 2016? What if every kid learned like Ninja Trader or some other app, whether it's penny stocks, whatever it is? Could you imagine, Big C, what that would do to our economy? Because you brought that to my attention, Big C.
It's also, we get a social balance at that point. We don't have this huge cultural divide in America anymore because everyone understands how to earn a living. The stock market is tremendous. The stock market is Las Vegas online, is what it is. You have the opportunity to grow based on intelligence and some luck, but you have to be intelligent enough to understand the numbers and pay attention to what's going on. It's no different, Charlton, than going into the huddle calling a play. Now, that play's been diagrammed in practice, but you don't take the diagrams into the huddle with you, Charlton. You have to understand the numbers and letters that have been given to you, how to translate that into running a route or getting a blocking pattern or hitting it up in the hole as a running thing. Knowing which route the receivers are running. If you're smart enough, Charlton, as a young athlete to remember plays you have the intelligence to take that and transcend that into the financial market, Charlton.
Well, Big C, yeah.
Athletes feel that they're limited in just being an athlete.
Yeah, and see, you're right, but it takes somewhat of consciousness, and that's what we do to bring it to the forefront, and we have to do that. I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed life insurance up to $100,000 with no medical questions asked, and we work with all of the unions in the United States under the AFL-CIO. We're also endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society, and I'm a broker with United Labor. I'm looking for 1,000 brokers throughout the United States that want to go to work and working with the unions in the United States. Tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports, and follow Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are worldwide. So also that includes you, Uncle Phil, in your labor force. If you have union workers, we can get them guaranteed insurance up to $100,000, no medical questions asked. Now, unlike ESPN or Fox Sports, and I love those guys, Big C, but Big C does a lot of this, Phil, with moonshine and his memories. He doesn't have $1 million equipment and producers pumping into his ear. And I say this without being flippant, because Muhammad Ali taught me something. If you have a voice, if you don't use it for good, then you are a sycophant. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. If we don't try to find a way as thoughtful people to eradicate poverty from our society, even the multimillionaire kids, they're the ones who are going to be preyed upon by the guys who don't want to starve to death, and you can leave that to your imagination as to what they have to do to take. They got to take from people who don't have. But if they learn to create an entrepreneur mentality, they can go out and sell goods. They can sell Nike shoes. They can sell goods and services, Big C. They can go out and learn the stock market. They can sell insurance, and you're not just determined, you're not hoping that some company's going to hire you and not lay you off like what happened in Motor City when all the car companies went overseas, Big C. So, Big C, again, I think Phil Knight, if he listens to you talk, unlike a lot of the talking heads that we love listening to, this is not just about reading the scores that the Giants beat the Nationals or that the Raiders are going to beat the Chargers. I really hope that my legacy can be that Charlton and Big C Sports gave hope again to all of the people of our society, young and old. We want to make it so that people believe that they have entrepreneurship inside of them. And that's more important than reading the score. Big C, you brought that to my attention. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, it's been life cycle. Everything in this country relies on finance.
Yeah.
When you go out and you recruit a young kid to come play at your college, you're talking about providing him with a scholarship. That's based on finance, Charlton.
Yeah.
How much money are you going to invest in the scholarship? When we look at a young high school player nowadays where they have to pay these fees, or even a Pop Warner player that have to pay these fees to be able to participate in a sport where they were one-time free,
yeah,
that's finance, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so you have to teach these young men and young women the economics of the sport. How much are they putting into it, and how much are they receiving about it? Everybody who's recruited to a university, Charlton, to play football is promised that they'll be the next great thing since sliced bread, and they're going to be a pro someday.
Yeah.
Well, that dream is very minute, Charlton, when you look at the totality of numbers that come into the college football game every year. We're talking thousands of players, Charlton, that are recruited and signed by these universities. There are not thousands of positions that open up in the NFL every year, Charlton. They're very fortunate in all of pro football with the Canadian Football League and the NFL. If 350 jobs open up, Charlton, that's a lot of jobs on the NFL level. 300 is probably the peak.
Yeah.
So in these 300 players that are now, looking for a job in training camp, look at those 6,000 that were recruited, Charlton, on the college level.
Yeah.
The previous year. Now, 300 versus 6,000. My math is not always that good, and it's hard to write in the sand when
it's the moonshine, Casey.
But you got to look at that minute percentage of players who are now having an opportunity. What happens to the rest of those, Charlton? The thing I like to look at, Charlton, in college athletics, what about the guys who come out early? Yeah. And they don't get drafted and they're forecasted with all these prognosticators saying, hey, no, he's a second-round draft pick, he's a first-round draft pick. And they end up not getting drafted at all, Charlton. Yeah. And you were only a sophomore in college. So what happens to that young man now, Charlton, that he didn't get drafted, hoping to sign a free agent contract? His projection of his future has been gravely damaged because instead of millions, he's talking a few thousand, which is not bad money. But there's a grave difference between millions and thousands, Charlton.
Well, Big C, someone might want to tell Steph Curry that, and I just want to say that this segment is sponsored by Goosehead Property and Casualty Insurance. We beat about 98% of the companies when it comes to a quote for your property and casualty. Tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports. Also, I want to thank Becca, the Business Cupid, for hooking up sponsors and opportunities for us on Charlton and Big C Sports. So thank you for that, Becca, with your social media marketing. And also, Big C, I want to say this. Now, Uncle Phil, he has the Nike brand. And I know there was some talk about Steph Curry signing with Nike, but Under Armour came in because I think someone dropped the ball at Nike. They kind of took for granted that people were just going to just do it. And I'm saying the same thing with whether it's Under Armour or whether it's Adidas or Nike. One of these major companies are going to sponsor the most conscious sports talk show in the United States on the iHeartRadio network. Now, Steph Curry has my same last name, but would you believe the Golden State Warriors guard, Steph Curry, he's the reigning two-time NBA MVP, the only unanimous MVP. Big C, he ranks 79th on the league salary scale at $12,112,000 a year, according to the SportsTrack.com. Now he needs to get someone to sign his contract, and he needs to read it, because if you're the only unanimous MVP, why would you be ranked 79th on the pay scale of guys who've never even won an MVP, Big C?
Well, Charlton, when you look at the money, we talked about it over the past couple of months, how it's just gotten out of proportion.
Yeah.
Because of these mega television contracts, and that's where the money comes from. You know, you look at players, whether it's the NFL, whether it's NBA, Major League Baseball, you constantly have players trying to renegotiate the deals that they cut 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. At that time, it was top dollar.
Yeah.
But the money changes so often. It's very rare, Charlton, to get players to sign a one-year deal such as a Ryan Fitzpatrick did with the New York Jets.
Yeah.
And bet on himself. Sam Bradford did that last year also with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
A one-year deal, and let me bet on myself, and if I have a good year, then you sign me to a 3-year extension.
Yeah.
But, you know, players say, okay, give me that 4 or 5 year deal, but 2 years into that deal, such as an Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh, you find yourself only being the 63rd highest paid receiver in the NFL, but yet you've had the most receptions in the last 2 years and the second most yards in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you're saying that you're being underpaid. And players have to understand that. I mean, they make a lot of money, and there's players that always will make more than the next player. But you have to understand, you made a commitment. There's no guarantees there. The teams can get rid of you at any time they want.
Yeah.
But a lot of these players don't realize that their productivity is because of the system that they're in, Charlton.
Yeah.
Yes, they're all great. Being in the NFL, tremendous athletes. But there's systems that allow certain players to escalate their talent beyond the others.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you have a contract, no one honors a contract in professional football.
No.
Teams can cut you at any point. There's nothing guaranteed. Players hold out whenever they want to hold out and say, hey, I'm not getting paid enough. But when you got that contract 2 years ago, you were ecstatic about it at that point, Charlton.
Well, you think about the great Eric Dickerson. He used to always run around saying, you know, if you like me, pay me. You know, money is everything. But I'm telling you, there's something that just crossed my mind, and it came up just listening to people talk about the legacy that people leave behind, because anyone can have money, and everybody has money. Some are wealthy, some are not. Not everybody has Warren Buffett type of money. But it's not about how much money you have. It's about what legacy you have. And like we talked about the Ali consciousness when we had the Ali celebration, and even at the ESPYs you had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Paul, and there was Carmelo Anthony. They talked about reaching out and helping end violence. Whether you're a man or a woman, I'm saying this to any conscientious business person. I know we can be Democrat, Republican, or independent, but you think about this. What can we do to have more of a Muhammad Ali or even Martin Luther King consciousness or Lyndon Baines Johnson consciousness? I think with Charlton and Big C Sports, and I'm speaking to Phil Knight and everybody that owns a professional sports team, if you could take every athlete that you recruit into a college program, at least at the Division I level where they make tens of millions of dollars because they're always on TV. What if every athlete that was recruited, there was a computer given back to the school of that athlete? If not the school, then at least the family. Because you leave those parents in a tougher spot when they can't get their kids to get a contract or a salary in college, Big C. They can at least teach them how to use the computer the same way the kids do in India and China, where they're dominating the world of electronics. If you look at Silicon Valley and the south part of the Bay Area, there's more millionaires in the Silicon Valley than anywhere in the United States, and none of them bench press 500 pounds. None of them run the 40 and 4.3. None of them vertical jump 40 inches. They all do it with computers. So the clue to eradicate poverty is already there, Big C. We just have to have someone with the consciousness, and I think Phil Knight has that consciousness to start saying we're going to start investing in programs that talk about giving back more than just the score. Big C, is that kind of a home run, or did I hit a foul ball, Big C?
No, Charlton, you hit the nail on the head, Charlton. Education is foremost out there. And if that was part of the recruitment process, if you went into a young man, young lady's home, is that your introduction to the parents is that you had to leave a computer there with you.
Yeah.
And I know all these universities, they go out and they recruit 100 players. That's 100 computers. And, and the money that they make, Charlton, 100 computers is not nothing. I'm quite sure that any computer company, whether it's Mac, whether it's Apple, whether it's Microsoft, would team up with the NTA as far as that goes in distributing more of their product and let it be seen out there advertising. But, that's a great idea. But when you look at people saying, well, we're not recruiting these guys for their brains, and we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
So why would we want to enhance that in any way? If we can dumb them down and bring them into the university and let them believe what we're going to tell them for the next couple of years, that's what we're looking for. If we put a computer in front of them, Charlton, I'm damn, they may read something,
That's funny, Big C.
And if they start reading, they may want to ask a question.
Well, see.
And so if we keep them dumbed down and don't have them reading, Charlton, we don't have to worry about answering the question when they want to know the truth.
Well, Big C, that is so true. The great Jack, one of the greatest actors, said you can't handle the truth when he was talking to Tom Cruise. And I just want to say that this final segment is sponsored by BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org. Make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast, and secure. And when it comes to promotions, contact Cynthia Evans of CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to promotions, she's the best in Northern California. Also, I'm a life insurance broker with One Life America Life Insurance. We are the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. We're also coming up with a product where there's no medical questions for your final expense. Tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports for that. And Uncle Phil, I want you to know that I'm looking at bringing on 1,000 insurance brokers throughout the United States. So Charlton and Big C Sports, we're not the sycophants athletes, even though Big C is an all-pro, two-time all-pro football player and been doing this for over 40 years in TV and radio. I want to make sure that the legacy of Charlton and Big C Sports is that we did something the way Ali talked about. You leave something behind. Stop being the locust when you go into someone's neighborhood and you get their kid to come to your college. Whether it's Jim Harbaugh at Michigan getting his kids on an airplane going down to Florida, I'm sure he didn't leave any computers behind for those inner city kids, Big C. He may have left a pair of Nike tennis shoes, but which one is going to benefit the economy more? If you have money, you can go out and buy more products. Big C, in the last minute, your thoughts on that?
Well, education makes every neighborhood safe, regardless of whether you live in the United States. If there's a highly educated population, the crime rate goes down.
Yeah.
And that's the major problem in America right now. And I understand being impoverished doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
But education will allow us to redirect our resources as athletes and as people. And that's the first and foremost thing. I would love to see the NCAA, Charlton, raise its GPA to at least a 285 to allow a student athlete to come into the university.
Yeah.
That's going to eliminate a lot of the manipulation of these young men and women, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's going to force these universities to participate in academics with the student athlete instead of just having an athlete who's perpetrating as a student, Charles.
Yeah, and Big C, I agree with that so much. And I'm also calling to action with Charlton and Big C Sports, asking for all of the major college football programs coming up this season. We want you to understand, whether you're the Pac-12, whether you're the SEC, or you're the Big Ten, or you're the ACC, no matter who you are, I'm hoping, especially the Big 12 conferences down there, Austin, Texas is kind of like Silicon Valley, Midwest, Big C. I hope that there's a push, whether it's Fox Sports, ABC Sports, ESPN, all of them, CBS, join Charlton and Big C and just getting corporate America to donate computers to inner city schools. At least when you recruit an athlete, give a computer to that school or to that family. I think that will help eradicate poverty in the United States. And also, Phil Knight, I want to say we are asking for your sponsorship on Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network worldwide. Put your money behind a conscientious sports program. And like you say, Phil, just do it every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Worldwide, follow Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. So we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.